Short week this week with just having a 4-day weekend, being off on Monday. Uh, so the plan is for this week to kind of go over a little bit more of the ACT material. And then tomorrow and Friday, going over a little bit about the formation of our actual solar system and planet Earth. And then we're going to get into Earth's history in the next few weeks. Talk a little bit about, what's unique about Earth and our solar system and resources that are here on Earth, the history of those resources, and then we'll pretty much end the year with talking about human impacts and what humans are doing right now, good and bad with that. So today we are going to do an ACT lesson C, as in cat. So the very first thing that I need you guys to do is make sure you do your daily check-in like normal. And then when you open up the assignment, you'll see there's a little recap. And so that's what I would like for you guys to do first. And let me just kind of share my screen so you guys kind of know what I'm talking about here. It's a recap. And so if you would take a minute to do that on your Canvas. It's a short little quiz, kind of just having you see what you remember from last week and going from there. So, all right, so work on that for me real quick, and then we'll get started with today's lesson after that. Remember, guys, if you guys do come in late, you need to make sure you tell me. Let me know you're coming in late so I can fix attendance and things like that, okay? So John, Michael, I got you guys, but need to let me know next time. All right, so again, we're doing the recap real quick, kind of seeing what we remember from last week on my notes. Okay. Hopefully everybody stayed nice and warm. We got a little bit of snow, but it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be. All right, okay, kids, you guys are good to go. All right, take about 1 more minute to do the recap on Canvas. All right. So, well, no, I'm trying to think. So if we take a look at the weekly schedule, again, we are going to do Unit 1, Lesson C today on Canvas. So when you click on that, there is a recap that we are going to be doing today, or that you should have already finished. There is a handout that you guys are going to turn in. That is going to be your grade for the week. Okay, so make sure you do turn that in. Okay. So the Lesson C student handout is pretty short. There's not a lot we're going to do today on there, but there are some things I want to talk about with the ACT, some little tricks today. So Lesson C student handout, that is what you're going to kind of take some notes on, and you are going to turn that in today. Okay. All right, there are some notes if you want to follow along. You can follow these notes here. Then these are other links that we're going to practice today as well. So let's pop up the student notes and the student handout, and let's kind of talk about our lesson for today. So again, this is my teacher lesson here. So remember that for the recap, there are 35 questions and 40, there are 40 questions in 35 minutes, and they cover 6 to 7 passages. On those 6 or 7 passages, each passage is going to have about 5 to 7 questions. So you have about 53 seconds per question in order to help you out with the science part. Remember that the easy questions are going to be the ones that ask about one scientist, one topic, one experiment, one paragraph, one data table. Those are going to be the easier questions. And again, you might disagree with that, but those are going to tend to be the easier ones. The harder questions are going to ask about 2 things, two people, 2 paragraphs, 2 ideas. And that's going to require a little bit more reading, a little bit more comparing and contrasting when you read those. Remember the 3-step method for science is to read the introduction, then start on the easy and the hard questions after that. Okay, that's the 3-step method. Again, you want to try to avoid reading too much material. You're going to read it, so there's no way of getting around that because it's a reading test. There's no really way to get around not reading stuff, but you don't want to have to read it 10 times. That's going to waste time. That's not going to help you out a lot. Okay. So today we're going to talk about what's called the process of eliminating. And you guys have probably heard this before. And you might have practiced this a little bit, or maybe you use this already when you take quizzes and things. But the process of elimination is really strong tip, really strong practice for any assessment that you take, whether it's ACT, whether it's CERT test, anything. If you can do the process of elimination, that just increases your chances of getting the question correct. Okay. So again, it says here, probably perhaps the most powerful strategy on the ACT is eliminating wrong answers. There's no penalty for guessing on the ACT, so you want to fill in every bubble. You want to answer every question. And so if you get to the point where you are just bubbling in and you're just kind of guessing, if you can do the process of elimination, guessing makes your chances much more successful. Okay. So, for example, if you have a random guess and you don't even read the question, that'll give you about a 25% chance of getting the question right. So if there are 40 questions on the test, you could probably get 10 out of 40 by just bubbling in the test all the way through. Right? Does that make sense? So pretty much the lowest score you probably should be getting is a 10 out of 40, and that's just a random guess on it. So random guess will give you about 25% chance of getting the question correct. If you could eliminate one answer, that will give you a 1 in 3 chance, or a 33% chance of getting the question right. If you can eliminate 2 wrong answers, that will give you a 50% chance of getting it right. Then, of course, if you can eliminate, if you can eliminate 3 wrong answers, of course, that will tell you the problem. So again, as you go to answer questions, sometimes it's easier to find the wrong answer than it is to find the correct answer. Especially if you guys have ever taken a quiz or a test where like there are multiple answers that could be right. You know, you got to find the better answer. Well, if you can look at both of those answers and try to figure out, okay, well, this one's stronger, this one's weaker. Well, then when you're looking for the weaker answers, those are the ones that are kind of, you're doing a process of elimination for that. Okay. All right. So eliminating, basically, you're crossing out answers that you know that are wrong. If you take the paper test, literally cross them out. Take a pen or pencil, cross out that answer so you never read it again, so you never look at it again. On the digital test, I think you can still do that. I think you can cross out answers on the digital computer test. Cross them out. So again, so you're not wasting time reading them again and again and again. Okay. I got people trying to get back in here because NKU closed. All right. So also it says get the answer that look best from the ones that are left remaining. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Is when you do have to take a guess, there are some hints, there are some tricks on how to guess a better answer. So the next slide is going to be, I don't want to use the right word here. The next slide you have to kind of be careful about. These hints are by no means 100% accurate. These are just things that if you're going to guess, and again, if you're guess, you're probably going to get it wrong anyways, right? But if you're going to guess, there are probably different things that you could look for. So for example, and again, these are tricks. By no means 100% accurate, but these are just kind of some hints that might help you get, might make your guess a little bit more correct. For example, on the ACT, short answers tend to be wrong. Not always, but they tend to be wrong. Okay, so for example, if I had this in this purple box here, Emily went to the store, but she needed to get medicine at the pharmacy too. Versus Emily went to the store. Emily went to the store is probably going to be wrong. But again, that's only if I had to do a complete guess. Okay. So if you're running out of time and there are 5 questions and you're trying to figure out, okay, I got 5 questions left. I got 2 minutes. How can I bubble these in? Don't pick the short one, the short answer. They tend to be wrong, but again, this is by no means 100% accurate. Okay. These are just guessing strategies or process elimination strategies. Answers that are different tend to be wrong as well. So for example, look at the blue box here. Emily went to the store. Emily went to the mall. Emily went to the library. Roger went to the store. The Roger answer is probably going to be the wrong one. Okay, it's probably going to be wrong. And that's just because it's different. And so if you ever see 4 answers and one of them is just like way out there and it's just like totally different from all the others, it's probably not going to be the right answer. The reason why, because the ACT is going to make you think about 3 of them. Okay, and say and see, okay, how is A different than B? How is B different than C? Well, I know D is totally different. Okay, so again, if you're going to do the process of elimination, if you're not going to read anything at all, that Roger one is probably wrong. Okay, and again, it doesn't mean that it is wrong. That Roger one might be 100% right. But again, these are just little tricks for process of elimination that if you're just going to totally guess. All right, answers that have similar beginnings or endings, one of them tend to be wrong and the other one tends to be right. Okay, so for example, if you look at the box here, Emily went to the store, but she needed to get medicine at the pharmacy too. Emily went to the store, but she needed to get books for the library too. So you see how the beginning is the same. So one of those is probably right, the beginning one, okay? But you have to figure out the difference on the ending of the statement. So oftentimes that will be the case where if you see 2 questions that start the same, one of those is probably the right answer. Okay. Now again, not always, okay? But again, what they're doing there is they're making you think a little bit more that Emily went to the store and she did something else. What did she do? Okay. They're making you think a little bit more and find the right answer. They're making you really dig deep. Now, I will say that these examples here are super simple. You're probably not going to get ACT questions that easy, but hopefully you get the idea. Hopefully you get the point. Okay. Shorter answers tend to be wrong, not always. Different answers tend to be wrong, not always. Okay, so there's no guarantee with using these tricks for process of elimination, but they could just maybe help you narrow out a couple questions, a couple of answer choices a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. All right, we're gonna practice, I think. All right, come on now. Where's my slide? I don't know why I did that. What's happening here? No, all right. Skipping all my slides here. All right. Okay, so we're gonna practice. I need to fix my slide real quick. So on your ACT assignment, or in your notes, you guys see eliminating practice form. Okay. Let me change my notes real quick, just so that I don't give away the answers for you guys. All right, that'll be better. Okay, so on your ACT, or on your notes, and inside your ACT, you have a tried out practice eliminating. It's going crazy. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to kind of identify the keywords in the passage provided on this form, then use eliminating to answer a question on the page. Be ready to explain why you eliminated some of the answers for each question. Now, again, I want you to practice eliminating. I don't really want you to focus on finding the right answer right now, okay? So again, this is the ACT strategy of eliminating questions. Some of you are not going to do that. Some of you are just going to look for the right answer and then move on to the next one. That's not the point of this activity, okay? Point of this activity is to practice eliminating wrong answers. So that's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to use that form. I want you to look at, there's only 2 questions, and I want you to figure out which one, which ones are wrong, essentially, okay? And I want you to think about why is A wrong, why is B wrong, why is C wrong. I want you to think about that as you're practicing today, okay? All right, so I'm going to unlock it. You guys click on that form and take about 5, let's say 5 minutes. I'm going to do 8:20, 8:28. We'll pick up for next part. All right, you take that. All right, 3 more minutes. All right, let's try to wrap that up real quick. Google Forms acting up a little bit here. All right, so on that process, there, note that if you did the three-step method, okay, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Try not to give away any answers when I do that, but if you did the three-step method, you'll note that there is no introduction. Okay, so what's the next step? Start answering easy questions, right? That is the process for this. Is sometimes there will be no introduction. If you wanted to look real quick, you see images of Titan, blah blah blah. Okay, you can kind of say, okay, this is going to be about a moon called Titan, which is a moon around Jupiter. Okay, all right. You'll know that Scientist 1 keeps saying the word volcano in here a bunch. Volcano, lava, icy lava, volcano. Okay, heat, internal heat, volcanic, internal heat, volcano. Scientist 2 says precipitation, glacial, lakes, glaciers, ice, melting, freezing of the ice, glaciers. Okay, so you see that these scientists are talking about two different things. Okay, so which of the following true would conclusively support Scientist 1? Well, we want to look for something that talks about volcanoes, something that talks about, because that's what Scientist 1 thinks. Okay, this one doesn't talk about volcanoes. This one doesn't say anything about volcanoes. Oh, C talks about volcanoes. I can eliminate the wrong answers real quick because, Scientist 1 doesn't talk about Neptune, does he? Neptune, anywhere on here? Neptune. Scientist 1 doesn't talk about Neptune, talk about Uranus, but okay, same composition. Okay, so it is similar to that. Okay, but again, we're looking for volcanoes. Oh, there's one right there. Okay. All right, so Scientist B here, new research suggests that slow radioactive is radioactive decay. So we're looking for somebody who talks about radioactive decay. Radioactive decay. All right, radioactive decay here, Scientist 1. Okay, that's interesting. Scientist 2 talk about radiation. Nope. So Scientist 1 is the only one that talks about radiation. So, again, we're eliminating wrong answers there. Scientist 2 did not talk about radiation. So both of them do not talk about it. It's not neither because Scientist 1 does talk about it. So again, we can eliminate those answers there. All right, that form is acting up a little bit. I have to take a look at how to fix it in a minute for that. So, all right, so putting it all back together here. I don't know why all my slides are skipping here. Okay, put it all back together. A quick little review is the three-step method for ACT passages. So remember that we're looking for reading the introduction, we're looking for the easy question, we're looking for the hard question. Okay, and again, the hard question probably gonna have to do some process of elimination for it. So how do we identify the easy question? We're looking for one passage, we're looking for one scientist, one thing. Okay, that's going to be the least amount of reading and tend to be the most direct answer. Okay. Which type of question tend to be harder are going to be the ones that talk about both or neither, etc. So for example, on that form you just had, question number 1 asked you, which of the following would best support scientist number 1? Well, you just need to read scientist number 1 in order to answer that. The other question, though, said, which of the scientists? You're going to have to read both of them, okay? So question number 2 is going to tend to be a little bit harder. To be honest with you, though, question number 2 wasn't really that hard, okay? So how do we use process of elimination on the ACT? We had to think about doing things like, trying to eliminate the ones that we know that are obviously wrong and then kind of go from there, okay? Now, again, you can't just go to the ACT and say short one's wrong, okay? That's not always going to be the case. Sometimes the short one is correct. So, for example, look at number 2, it was scientist number 1. That was the shortest option. But again, you have to be really careful about just using those little tips and strategies. Those are just if you're going to guess. And because again, if you're just going to guess, you're probably going to get it wrong anyway if you just guess. So if you're going to guess, there are some strategies to maybe try to get your score to be a little bit better. So be careful on those little tricks. They're not guaranteed at all to get you the better score. Okay, they're just there to kind of maybe be a little bit of help. Okay. All right, we do not have enough time to do the practice, the unit 1 practice, so we'll probably do that on Thursday. It's 15 minutes, so we'll do that on Thursday. It is locked right now, so we can't really do it anyways, and then we'll go from there. So, all right, I'm going to stop recording here real quick, then we'll talk a little bit more about our plan for the week.